Okay, so we're on Daf Yud Dalid Amid Beis. We're 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 lines from the bottom. Taner Rabbanan. This is from the more famous Gemaras in Shas. It's famous that people know it, but it's infamous that no one knows what's going on. So it's Taner Rabbanan. Arba nichnasu bepardes. There are 4 that entered bepardes. Now, if you know the English, guys, is a language that is made up of other languages. So if you look at the word paradise, it's not a stretch to see the word paradise. You see the word in paradise, you clearly see the word paradise. So there are 4 people who nichnas the paradise, and exactly what does that mean? They were nichnas the paradise. What exactly what happened over there? So let's see 3 different pshatim. Let's see who are these 4 people. Ve'elohein ben Azai ben Zoma Acher. That's the infamous Rabbi Elisha ben Avua and Rabbi Akiva. Now, what do you mean they were nichnas the paradise? Says Rashi, nichnasu the paradise alu lirakia al yedei shem. They ascended to Shemayim through the shame. In other words, if we go and discuss where the Hakadosh Baruch Hu is, we discuss 500 years, 700 years above that. Kisei HaKavod. How they get up there? There's no anyway, says Rashi. Well, you could do it not in any normal way, but if you know the shame, it's possible to go ahead and do anything. And it's Mash from Rashi. They physically ascended up there. Says Tosfos, Nichnasu lepardes kigon al yedei shame. V'loy alu l'mayla mamish. They didn't physically mamish go up there. Elohaya nir lehem k'moshe alu. It appeared to them. They had a virtual paradise. Yeah.
Zoom.
Right. No, this was not through glasses. This is through the shame. The Chaim Pirish Ba'aruch, the Aruch explains that as well. And if you look at Rabbeinu Chananel on the side, he says Pirish is what is that? Kinuad paradise me'engan Eden. It's like an Eden. Shehi ginuzel tzadikim, that is separate, that is special, put away for tzadikim. Kach oisay makom hu makom ba'aravos. It's the place in the 7th rakia that we call aravos. Shan neshama shel tzadikim tzrurais ba. The neshamas of tzadikim are bound on tachas kisei hakavod. Umafurish beichalei shahayu chachamim aruyim lemida azu mispalim. People who are roy for this midah can daven. Uminakin atzmai, they can cleanse themselves mikol davatuma from any possible impurification. Vitzamim, and they can fast. Umatbilim, they go to the mikvah. Umitayrin, by mishtamshim b'shemais, they would go ahead and use certain names of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Vitzayfim beichalais, they could look into the echalais for royin heich mishmaris hamalachim amadim. They could see about how the malachim and v'cheina v'cheina. So again, this is either a vision or a visit. It's guys. That's the way to put it. It's either according to Rashi, it's a visit. According to Tosfos, it's a vision. According to Rabbeinu Chananel Mash, it's also some. It doesn't say. He doesn't exactly say, but he says whatever you can see. But obviously, it's a process that you have to be a huge tzaddik to do it, and also kol minei Torah. So 3 people: Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, Elisha ben Avua, and Rabbi Akiva. And they all went in simultaneously. This is when he was Elisha ben Avua. This is before he became Acher. He became Acher as a result of this Maisa. So now, Amalem Rabbi Akiva, when you get to the place that is of pure marble, and Rashi says that it's clear like water, what you shouldn't do is al toimru mayim mayim. Don't say it's water. Mishum shenemar doive shekarim lo yikin lo neged einai. Someone who speaks sheker cannot be mechuvin kneged Hakadosh Baruch Hu. However, Ben Azai hits it. Ben Azai looked klapi the Shechina umeis, and he died. He looked at klapi the Shechina, and he died. And all of a kasavoymer yaka be'einai Hashem hamavsul l'chasidav. That Hakadosh Baruch Hu is bemoaning the fact that he has to kill people. It says Rashi, Yaka be'einai Hashem v'chasidav. Hukish misasei lefanim. It's difficult killing in front of him. Lefishemeis bachor, because he killed a young person. Ben Azai, guys, he wasn't old enough to get smicha. That's why he wasn't called Rabbi. He was called Ben Azai. So why did he kill him? In other words, his scholars of the Shechina that he looked at is kaviyachol the pasuk that the Kadosh Baruch Hu warns us. Kilo yirani adam chai. You can't see me and live, and that's why he was nifta. Ben Zoyma hitzitz benifka. Ben Zoyma he took a look, and he lost it, right? He lost it. In other words, one of the factors that influence the ability to dice in the Mashma Kava we saw was age. Rabbi Yochanan wanted Rabbi Yochanan wanted to teach his Talmud Rabbi Elazar ben Padas. He wanted to teach the Ma'aser Merkava, and he says, "I'm not old enough." So Ben Zoyma and Ben Azai, they were affected. Why? Because they weren't old enough. They weren't old enough. They pushed it. Ben Zoyma, they weren't old enough. That's the way the Gruar explains why they were nifkam. V'alava kasavaymer divash matzasa echol dayecha pentis be'enav akesai. You're going to go ahead and eat the vash, and somehow it's going to go ahead and it's going to regurgitate, and somehow that goes ahead and connects to this concept about that he looked and he was it wasn't good.
Did he look?
He says hitzitz. He looked. He says hitzitz vinifka. I guess he wasn't. Again, he was I guess a different darga. I don't know why he didn't die. I thought he was a different darga. Acher, what happened to Acher, who also pashtus look? Kitzeitz benetiyos. He literally cut off grass. We'll see what that means. Rabbi Kiva yatsa b'shalom. Rabbi Kiva, he went out. He went up there, and he came out b'shalom. Good. So that's what 4 things. I'm going to go through each one. Ben Zoyma, Ben Azai. Ben Azai is nothing to talk about. He's dead. Ben Zoyma, Acher, and Rabbi Akiva. And the Gemara is going to spend a little bit of time on Ben Zoyma. We'll spend some time on Ben Zoyma. And then the Gemara is going to spend the rest of the shir in speaking about Acher, the famous Elisha ben Avua. Now, Shalu is Ben Zoyma. Now, Mahulis Suse Kalba. What's the din of going ahead and castrating a dog? Can you imagine? He comes out of Ganei, he comes out of his paradise, and what did they ask him? What's the din about castrating a dog? So Amalahem, it says Zuba Artzchem Leisasu, meaning this is the pasha of karbanis. You're not allowed to, it's a moment of carbon to go ahead and castrate it. So in your land, you shouldn't do it, meaning not only in the Beis HaMikdash, but Artzchem, you shouldn't castrate. Kol Sheba Artzchem, anything. And it's also to castrate a dog. Kol Sheba Artzchem Leisasu. Okay, everything you shouldn't do. There's a fascinating Meshech Chachma. I posted it. I don't have my phone, Benji. You'll listen. What? Yeah. I posted it. There's a Meshech Chachma. Guys, can we see this? It's very small. Let me make it bigger. Okay. Why is Dafka the asking Mishal about a Kelev? Why would you think you can castrate a Kelev? Kelev Klovim, they were set aside for immorality. Our Malta, a widow, Sarbi Kalba, she shouldn't raise a dog because you're chayish v'averis. Minig hagoyim hakadmoini. Guys, listen to this. It's the meaning of the earlier goyim. She'achrei kain, after they would go ahead and do an avera with an animal, lekaparis ha'avain to mechap for the avera, hayimevian hamachir lekarbin lavayis galilim. They would go ahead and they would switch that animal and they would get another animal, and that animal they got, they would give what as a carbon. That's what they used to do. Guys, that's why we're not allowed to bring a mechir kelev. In other words, if you get money for a dog or any exchange for a dog, you're not allowed to bring as a carbon. The kivin the af mechira yasa mishum lo yazunu imay kol shekain lesuse yasa muta. In other words, if you can't bring an exchange from so certainly maybe you can't. There won't be a problem of castrating because that's a problem with the mizbeach. For Heshiv and the Yitzhak Kol Sheba Artzchem, meaning it has nothing whatsoever to do with the fact that why it's not be bought as a carbon, but Kol Sheba Artzchem, regardless of the fact that it can't be bought as a carbon, there's still a problem of castration. That's why he asked that question. Now the next question is just Pelaployim. It's a question that has bothered people for the ages, and we'll delve into it a little bit. It's a fascinating. Guys, this is fascinating. So what's the next question they asked him? The next question they asked him, they said, Shalu as ben Zayma, bottom line, Bisula, a virgin, She'ibra, that was pregnant, Mahu l'koyin gadol. Now, we know a koyin gadol has to marry a Bisula. A koyin gadol has to marry a Bisula, can't marry someone who's a Bula. There happens to be a fascinating, this is the craziest, there's a Tosfos on Pearson Chumash says, that why does he have to marry a Bisula? Because if he go ahead, he would see a woman that he wanted. Maybe he would daven in Yom Kippur that her husband should die. So therefore, he can marry Basula to avoid that. That's the mamish ad kedei kach, the taiva for women, even in Yom Kippur and who knows where. Can you imagine? Anyway, so he can only marry a Basula. Now, this woman is the Basula, and this woman is pregnant. So you might think that might be a bit of a chidush, yes? Well, we're going to find out. Good. So what's the shaila? Mi chashina the Shmuel, or we chayish v'Shmuel. Now Shmuel says something that's really unique. Dama Shmuel, Amid Aleph, Yochel ani livol kama b'ilois bleidam. Shmuel was an expert in hatiyah. Shmuel says he was able to go ahead and have relations without going ahead and breaking the basulim. Oy dilma the Shmuel lo shchichi, or maybe Shmuel was not shchayach. So what's the side of the shaila? Pashut pshat. He has to marry a basula. Do we say that if she's pregnant, right? And it's not possible that you could do it in a way that would not break the basulim, and therefore she is not a basula? Or are we chayish v'Shmuel that she can be a basula and he can marry her? That's the Gemara shaila. Or there's another shaila whether he was pregnant. Anyway, says the Gemara, Loish amalahu the Shmuel shchiach. Shmuel's not shayach. In other words, Shmuel's not shayach. That in other words, if a woman, it's not possible to go ahead and impregnate a woman and her still be a basula. It's not possible. Derech normally. Now, why in the world then is she pregnant? V'chashinon shema be'ambati ibra. Maybe she got pregnant from a bath. Now, this is one of the more interesting shilas in Shas, and it rears its head in halacha in a very special, unique way. In other words, if a man left his zera in water and the water is warm enough, it has the what would he say? The environment. It has the environment to keep the zera alive, and the zera would go. A woman takes a bath, and the zera would go into the woman. So Ken Zayin, that's how she got pregnant. That's how she got pregnant. So are we chayish for that? So I'm a Shmuel. So that's the shaila. That was the shaila. But so she got pregnant by what as a result of this? Now let's finish the Gemara and we'll go back. It says the Gemara, Shmuel, how's it Shmuel? How is it possible to say that she got pregnant from an ambati? Any shich v'zera does not come out with the force of a shooting arrow, cannot impregnate. Says so the chayra, if it's in the water, it didn't come out with it's not, you're not. The havamina is that you have to be b'shas bia, that you have to be able to go ahead and inject with force. Says in other words, it's not like we thought that it has to go ahead. In order to be potent zera, it had to be yorik chetz, but not that it had to be what yorik chetz inside the isha. That's what the Gemara says. No? So why in the world were these two questions posed to Ben Zayma? Like, why in the world? Like, he comes out of Pardes. Hey, Rabbi, we got a kasha. Now, he had his problems in Pardes because why? Because you see, he lost it a little bit, yeah? So the two shadows, they said, can you castrate a dog? And what's the halacha about a pregnant virgin? Okay, so I thought I had the kasha. I thought it was bizarre. Guys, you got to listen to this. Listen to this. This is crazy. This is from a sefer called Zute Shel Yam. Now, they wanted to check. What happened? Acha goes ahead. He comes out and he leaves the fold. Right? He's gone. Ben Zayma comes out and maybe he's also leaving the fold because he obviously was affected. Yes. So what do they want to do? They wanted to check, is he still a Yid? They wanted to check, do you still believe? So listen what they asked him. They asked him two questions that have what to do with Christianity. This guy's, listen to this. B'tchila shalu oisai hayamutal asaris kelev. Is that permitted? Mishum shekach haya noyeg etzel noitzim bizmanom. That was a minig in the time of the knights and the Christians, l'sares chayis v'oifos, to castrate animals and birds. So he wanted to know if you're going to say you could do it, maybe the chayish that he went over to the other side. And once he told him it's asa, so he said obviously he wanted to say, well, they decided they wanted to check in his amuna. So what did they ask him? They asked him, a basula that's pregnant, is she mutter to kohen gadol? What was the question? Is it possible to get pregnant without a bia, like the immaculate conception? Right. Is it possible? This is blog title. Is it possible to get pregnant without having relations? Why? Because what do the Noitzim believe? The Noitzim believe that it was impregnated by God. Correct? What was his answer? Not possible. Because why? If she got pregnant, it was from a semen, zera, that was in water, but there had to be zera. And so they knew without a shadow of a doubt that what? That he was good. Isn't that great? Isn't that halachic, guys? I went out of my mind. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. How do you connect the Gemara to being the pardes to this? Well, the Sefer called Zuta Shel Yam did it. What a beautiful, beautiful interpretation.
He's the only one who addresses this.
I have the Masifta over here. I have the Masifta. He brings down this pshat. He didn't bring any other ones. How am I supposed to know? Just the Zuta Shel Yam. I don't know. I never heard of the Sefer. I just read it from here. But again, it's still a fabulous idea. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay, so we leave Ben Zomer and we get to Acher. Okay, we leave Ben Zomer and now we get to Acher. Okay, just by the way, I'm not going to go into it. This whole thing of being impregnated by Ambati, that implies upon the shaila of artificial insemination. In other words, that is Ramoshi's tshuva, Lenny. You read that. I sent you, Lenny. I sent it. It's beautiful. If you think this is crazy, okay, spend a second. I did post this. The second thing I posted. Might as well, I did send this. Yeah, I did send another thing. I just have to find it. Where is it?
Also bring up the issue. I don't need to say it. Let's make swimming also.
Looks dancing.
It's curious.
I don't. No, that's. I don't think I shaykhs to this.
Okay, that's the issue.
Okay, guys, look at the other one. Okay, guys, this is Shulchan Aruch. 1 second. I don't know if you could see. These guys, they can't see it. They can't see it. You can see this now, guys. Okay, this is Shulchan Aruch. It is Ibn Ezra, Chelik Siman Aleph, Sifkatan Hey. Mefarshim Shulchan Aruch is called the Chelkas Mechaikis. And here's the following shaila: are you mekayim peer review with a mamzer? Says the Ramah, guys. Mamzer, oicheresh, shaita, v'katan, kayim mitzvah. That you see that the Ramah. You look at the pointer, guys. Mamzer, oicheresh, shaita, v'katan, kayim mitzvah. If you have a child through an illicit union, that's a mamzer. You would fulfill the mitzvah of what? Of, says the Ramah. Different people agree. It's a babavera, but it's a tremendous chiddush. Now here's the shaila. Listen to the shaila Chelkas Mechaikis. He goes, Yesh l'stapek, top line, guys. Isha shemis abra ba'ambati, a woman that got pregnant from a bath. Im kayim av pirivya. If it's mekayim pirivya, because it's not his kid, right? The imikri b'noi l'chol dava, where it's called b'noi l'chol dava. So uviyakute ma'aril nimsa sheben sira. Guys, we brought in the other day the author Ben Sira, Haya b'noi shel Yirmiyahu. He was the child of Yirmiyahu, Sherachatz be'ambati, who had washed himself in a bath, that warm bath, and what? And his zera impregnated a woman. Ki sira b'gachia is Yirmiyahu. Not something you see every day at the office, right? Great guys. So this is not. It's not hypothetical. According to Chelkas B'Chelkas, it happened. In fact, it happened to the Navi Yirmiyahu, and the author Ben Sira was his son. Fascinating idea. Okay, let's get back to Tanabana. Maisa Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya Shayoimil Gava Maila Bahar Abayis. He was standing on a step in the Harabayis. V'ro ben Zayma. He saw Ben Zayma. V'layom in front of Ben Zayma did not stand up for him. Amaloi me'ayin v'la'ayin. He saw, Ben Zayma. But where are you coming from? He's obviously was deep in thought. Ben Zayma Amaloi Seifa Yisi ben Mayim Al Yon Mayim Tachtainim. I was viewing the distance between the Mayim Al Yon and Mayim Tachtainim. Vein ben Zel is El Sholish at Boys Bavad only three fingers. I have no idea what this is going about because it says that there's a distance between the Mayim Al Yon and Mayim Tachtainim is the same distance. It's crazy amount. Shnemar v'ruach elikim rachefes al panei hamayim ki yona shem rachefes al boneha, like a yona that is hovering over its children. Then the gas doesn't touch him, so it doesn't. It hovers and its wing is just a little bit away. So too the mayim al yona, mayim tachlim are just a little bit away. Amal lehem Rabbi Yeshua l'talmidav adayin ben zayim mevachutz. Ben zayim is still out of it. Michti v'ruach elikim rachefes al panei hamayim. Amos havi. When is that? The pasuk ruach that was written on B'yam Rishon. Havdalah b'yam sheni. But when did the Hakadosh Baruch Hu separate the waters? That only took place on day number 2. So therefore, it can't possibly be that the raya from the Yonah makes any sense. That's a pasuk in pasuk Aleph, and the Havdalah took place on the second day. The Kama, so what's the distance? Kimali Nima, it's like he has breath. For Rabbanan Amri, Kiguda the Gamla, like the space between the boards on a bridge. The priest see two shirts that are spread one on top of Adodi, one on top of the other. Vimila Kitrei Kaisei, the Sachifi Adodi, the two kaises that are what? That are stuck together. Acher was the Elisha ben Avua, Kitzeis ben Atiyites. He literally cut the trees, meaning and he went off. All of us of Vaymer, Al Titain es Picha Lachti es Besarecha, the pasuk says, the pasuk says, let not your mouth bring guilt to your flesh. What's his mouth bringing flesh? He chazi matatroin. He saw the malach matatroin. Now the malach matatroin, according to, I remember it's in a Tosfos that this person Chanoich. We died. He was one of the 10 generations to Adam and Noach. Chanoich lived to 365. He was taken out of the world early. So there's the opinion that Metatrain was Chanoich. But according to this, it seems to be he was a Malach, and he was a Manig. The Lashon of Metatrain was Malach, and there's a Shaila. The name of Metatrain is the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there is a Shaila whether you're able to go ahead and say his name or not. The Arizal did not say his name, and therefore people call him the Malach Matat. They call him Matat instead of calling the full name because there's a Deya that's the name of Hashem. In fact, guys, listen to this Lashon. The pasuk says. The pasuk says, when by Har Sinai, Ve'el Moshe Amar Alei El Hashem. To Moshe, Hashem said, "Come up to Hashem." He should have said Alei Alai. Hakadosh Baruch Hu speaking, so he should have told Moshe. Hashem doesn't have to refer to himself in third person. He's Hashem, right? So he should have said, "Come up to me." He didn't say that. He said, "Come up to Hashem," and that. So we want to prove that he meant to come up to Metatroin, who has the same name, Shem Hashem. That he has the Shem Hashem. Okay. So now, he comes up here, Acher, and what happened? He sees Metatroin that Isyasev le Rishusa le Mesav le Michtav Sachvasa. They gave him Rishus to sit and write down the Schusim of Yisrael, the Zachvasa of Yisrael. So Omar, when Acher saw Metatroin sitting, he said, Gemiri de Lamaila lehavi, above lehavi yeshiva. No one sits. V'lei tachris, there's no competition. V'lei oirif, and there's no back because the malachim they see on all sides, so there's no back of the head. V'lei ipoyin, there's no tiredness. Now, if he's sitting, it must be he is God. So Shema Chas v'Sholom, Beis Rishuya saying the Gemara puts in Chas v'Sholom. Maybe there's what two deities, because if he's sitting, obviously you're not allowed to sit, and if he's sitting, he must be right. So now, why was he sitting? Right now, they went ahead and afkul metat umachyua shisim pulsi denur. They hit him with 60 lashes. They hit him with 60 lashes. They hit Memtat for 60 lashes. Now, there's two opinions. One, that he didn't get up for Talmid Chachamim. They didn't get up for the 4. That's one opinion. Look at the top Taisvis. Says the top Taisvis. Umachyua Shisin Pulsin hit him 60 Pulsin. In other words, they wanted to show that he's not a god. He wanted to disprove Acher. The fact that he was sitting, you might think that he's a deity. So he dafke hit him to show no, he's not. Good, very good. My time why didn't you get up when you saw him? So he's just like the Acher. They gave him reshus to be machak the schusim of Acher. And Yatsa Baskel came out and said, Shuvu banu shayvavim. My children go ahead and do tshuva chutz me'acher, with the exception of that is the gerson not acher, the chutz me'elisha ben avua. There's except elisha ben avua. Now, clearly everyone can do tshuva, guys. What it means over here, according to the two different shatim, one is that Hakadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't encourage him to do tshuva like most, or two, it wouldn't be easy for him to do tshuva. It's a different. It's harder for him to do tshuva, but any tshuva will be accepted. Anyway, bottom line is since I'm out of the next world, let me at least have a good time in this world. So he went off the derech. He found a woman, a Zaina, Tava, he was Taveya for his nus. Amalei, she told him, Elisha ben Avua, aren't you Elisha ben Avua? Aren't you Elisha ben Avua? Yeah. Who Yotza b'chol haaretz, that Shem Chayatz b'chol haaretz, that your name went out in the whole land, you're a famous person. So Oka Pugla Mishra b'Shabbos. He went ahead, he plucked out a radish from the ground on Shabbos. And he gave it to her. Amra said, the Zaina, Achahu. That's what he got. Named him Acha, a Zaina. Of all things, guys, who was named by a Zaina, Nebuch, Acha. You're a different guy. You can't possibly be the famous Tana, Elisha ben Avua. Unbelievable. It's very crazy sad. Shol Achas Reb Meir, LaAchas Shiyas Tabasura. Yes, if you went off the derech. Amalei Achas Reb Meir. My Siv, the pasuk says, Gamez Zeh Lu'umazeh Asa Elikim. Because Baruch Hu does one as well as another. So Amalei Rabbi Meir told him, Kol Masha Barak Kadosh Baruch Hu La'olam Barak Kenegdai. Bar Harim, he created mountains. Bar Gavais, he made hills. Bar Yom, he created seas. Bar Norris, he made rivers. Amalei. So it said Acha to Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Kiva, Rab Chalei Amakin. You were Talmud Rabbi Kiva. He did not say Kach El Bara. He said Sadikim Bar Rishayim, Bar Gadeden, Bar Gehenim. Kalecha v'yachad yesh lei beis chalachim. Each person has a chelik of Gan Edim in him, and each person has a chelik Gan Edim in him. Right? Echad b'Gan Edim, echad b'Gehenim. Zacha tzaddik not lechelka. If he's zeicha and he said tzaddik, he takes the chelik of the rasha of a chelik chaverei b'Gan Edim. Nischayev rasha, then not lechelka b'chelik chaver b'Gehenim. Okay. Amrav Mishashia, my crew. What's the pasuk? Gavit tzaddikim ksiv l'chein ba'artzam mishnet yirashu. The land they'll inherit twice. There's twice as inheritance. Once their own and once somebody else's. Gavit Rishayim kasiv u'mishne shibara and shavrei. They destroy with double. Shal acher Reb Meir la'acher sheyas tabasra. My dechsiv. The pasuk says lo yarkena zahav v'schuchis u'turnasai klipaz. Gold and glass you can approximate the Torah, nor can exchange for anything. Amalai. So that's what he asked him. So Amalai, Remeir told him, Elu divrei Torah shekoshen leknoisa kikli zav kli paz, like a precious. The noich laavdan kikli suchas. Torah is harder to acquire, like zahav and paz. However, it's very easy to lose, like glass. Anyone who learns Daf Yomi knows it's no problem. Right. Well, hopefully it's here today, even, Says the Gemara. Amaloi, some Amaloi said, Ra'achat Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Kiva Rab Chalei Amakin. He didn't say that. Al Kach. Al Mak Kli Zav Kli Suchas Al Pishin Ishbru Yesh Them Takana. Al Kli Zav Kli Suchas, if they break, you can fix them. Av Tam Chacham Av Pishin Sarach Yesh Takana. I guess, but however, he felt one not. Amaloi, Afatas Chazabasa, so Rabbi Meir, think of a pope, what do you say? You be Chayza. Amaloi, Kfar Shemati, Mechuya Pargit, I heard from behind the curtain, Shuvu Ban Meshayvim, Chutz Miyacha. I have no choice. Now we're going to see from Rabbi Meir's actions, guys, that he didn't hold this. He didn't give up hope. He was going to machzim b'tshuva, no matter what. No matter what, baskol, anything, right? Right? No matter what, he didn't give up hope. The Maisa be'acher, b'Shabbos. While Meir Mahalach Achra, Meir was going after him. Lo my Torah. Gemara's going to ask me Pip. Gemara's going to ask, how can you learn Torah from a person who's been Machal Shabbos, right? How can you learn Torah from him? Amalei Meir Chazal Acharecha. Turn around. Shekvar She'arti Be'ikvei Susi. I was able to go ahead and evaluate through the footsteps of my horse. I'd come at Chum Shabbos. So go back because you're about to hit Chum Shabbos. Amalei said, Meir Afat Techoy. No, you come back too. Amalei like I already told you. Kvashamati Mechuri Apagad Shuvu B'Mashoivim Chutz Me'achet. And he Tokva. Meir grabbed Acha. He grabbed him. I love base medrash. He brought him to base medrash. Now, we're told there's the medrash guys. So one kosher way of finding out something is by asking the kid the pasuk he learned. We had it in Gittin by Kisanera. He asked them. So now we're going to have Acha's going to go to 13 different base bati midrashiyos, and listen, every single one is going to be a downer. Everyone's going to be a downer. So they go to the base medrash. Amalei liyanuka. They say Acha asked a kid. Pasukli pesukach. Tell me the pasuk. Samaloi, ain't shalom amar shalom rishayim. Ain't shalom amar shalom rishayim. There's no shalom to the rishayim. I literally bake kinista achrina. Meir says, let's round two. Let's have another shot. Amalei liyanuka. Pasukli pesukach. Tell me your pasuk. Amaloi ki im techabsi beneser. If you wash me with soap, v'tarbi lechaburyas, or try to increase the detergent, nichtam avoynech lefanai. The remains of your Averis will be in front of me. Strike two. They go to a third base medrash. Amalei liyanuka. So he says what to a Yanuka? What does he say to Yanuka? Pasuk li pesukach. Go ahead and tell me what your pasuk. So Amalei, what did he tell him? V'at shodud matasi kiltil b'shishani. You dressed me up in red. Kisadi adi zav. Kisikri bapuch einayich. Lashav tisyafim. Mosu, I'm finishing the pasuk. Mosu bach oigvim navshech yivaksheu kloima. In other words, whatever you're doing to mafias me, you'll be makashi yourself after you've been despised. It's not going to help. One after the other, he's getting zetz. One after the other, he's getting zetz. Okay. Number 4. You have to strike 3. Number 4. The island Tlissa Bekanishti went to 13 Bati Midrashios. 13. Kula Paskulu Ki Hai Gavna. They finally, each and every one of them was bad news. The Basra, to the last one, number 13, Amalei, Pasukli Pesukach, tell me your Pasuk. Amalei, Ula Rasha Amar Alakim, Malacha Lesaper Chuke. To Rasha, the Hashem says, why are you to tell me my Chukim? So Hahu Yanuka, having a gam game bulishne. The last Yanuka, the Yanuka, he seemed to mumble. He wasn't able to speak clearly. Ishtama, and the Rasha Amar Alakim, Malacha Lesaper, he heard the Amalei, Ule Elisha, and say Ule Rasha, it sounded like Ule Elisha Amar Lakim. And Ikad Yami Sakina Havi Biyade, that Elisha ben Avua had in his hand, he had a knife. Ukroi, he cut up this kid, Vishadvi Talisa Beknishta, and he said the piece of the 13 Bati Midrashiyos. Ikad Yami Omri said he didn't actually do it. He said, if Havi Biyade Sakina, if I would have had another one, Havi Karanale, I would cut him up. There's a gears to change. Noach Nafshe is mashma an easy death, guys. Noach Nafshe, right? So they say kishachiv. The Gemara uses 2 lashonis for death. Either kishachiv when you lie down, or noach nafshe. Noach nafshe usually is referred to an easy noach menucha nafshe. So why should he die a nice death, right?
He still had some immunity.
I don't know if he had a moon. He still had ideas. He was a troubled soul. He definitely was a troubled soul. Again, we can't be Messiah. Guys, you're talking about a Tana. You can't understand this. You're talking about a Tana. You're talking about a person who was able to get into the Pardes. I mean, it's again. In other words, when you think about a person going off, where he started from is just so. When you speak about going off, the Chilul Hashem of him going off is great, but his going off certainly is. It's beyond. It's like Yechon and Kain Gadol. It's like Yechon and Kain Gadol. I'll tell you myself. It's a Maggid Shir by Rabbi Leibowitz. His name is Levi Gelfish. He's a huge Talmud Chacham. Not mamish. He knows Shas and he's mamish. He's a Urim V'Tomim. I talk to him all the time and learning. He just knows everything, and it's a pleasure to speak to him. He got his smicha, passed the bar, and passed the CPA test in 1 year. And so Kutza lekutza from the world of yeshiva to the world of academia. He was a brilliant guy. He just is. He was blessed with brilliance. His father was brilliant. His father was a Talmud of the Lublin Rav. His father was the Sagan Menahel by the Lublin Rav. To get into the yeshiva Lublin, you need to know 500 blat Gemara by heart. To get into yeshiva Lublin, you had to know 500 blat Gemara by heart. Many of the Lublin Talmidim knew Shas by heart. Levi Gelsh told me his father knew Shas by heart. By heart. He knew Shas by heart. By heart. I spoke to Rav Hirschman Zatzal, who's also a Lublin Talmud. I can be made, he knows Shas by heart. He did it to me once. I was sitting in the lake house, Lenny, and I don't know if you remember, he came over to me, and I was learning Baba Kama, Daf Yud Zayin, and all over here I go, and I realized he was saying the Gemara Rashi Tosfos. It was like eerie. He was like, it was amazing that. Anyway, Levi Gelfish drove with his father to New York City, and he drove him to a parking lot. And there was a parking lot attendant, and he was sitting there. He was eating a sandwich, a McDonald's or a ham sandwich. He was eating tarfus. And he looked at him, and they looked at each other. He said, Shalom Aleichem, and they began talking. They walked away, and Levi asked his father, who was that? And he said, a Lublina Talmud. After the war, he said, a Lublina Talmud. It's like you can't judge anybody. This is guys, this is beyond our pay scale. This is who knows, but we're going to see an unbelievable. The Gemara concludes in such an uplifting way. It's unbelievable. Finish the Gemara, guys. It's unbelievable. The end of Acher, as serious as it now, it has an ending that is beyond comprehension of the Hatava and the power of Tshuva. The power, the Mamish is unbelievable. Listen to this. So, Kinoyach Nafshe, the Acher, when Acher died, Amri, they said in Shemayim, Lo Meidin Lidaina, we can't go in and bring him to judgment, to bring him to Gehenim. But nor can we bring him into Olam Haba, right? Why? Lo Meidin Lidaina Mishum Da'esei Paraisa. We can't put him in Gehenim because he learned Torah. So we're stuck. Now, there is though it seems to be for a neshama, the worst thing is to be stuck. In other words, even if you go to Gehenim, the purpose is to cleanse you to get to Olam Emes, to get to Olam Haba. If you're stuck in between, you get nowhere. You're stuck between, you get nowhere. Abigail tells David, if you kill Novel, you're going to be like Russia. They're going to be like in a slingshot, being shot from one end of the world to the other end of the world. It's the worst thing. That's the concept of the dibik. The dibik is the neshama that doesn't have a place to go. So he's stuck. Amar Rameya, says Rameya, Mutiv Daina, better judge him to go to Gehenim, and as a result, right, he'll get into the Olam Emes. Masay Amas, when I die, Ve'ela Ashim Kivroi, and Ashim can come out from his grave. That's what everybody made daven. That when I die, that smoke should come out of Acha's grave to show that he's in Gehenim. When he died, came up smoke from the kever of Acha. So he made it into Gehenim. Rabbi Yochanan said, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Givurta l'mikle Rabbi? Is it what? Is it a feat to go ahead and burn your Rebbe? Chadhu have benana. He was one of us. And you can't save him. If I go ahead, says Rabbi Yochanan, and take Acha by his hand from Gehenim, man, who's going to stop me? Amri said, Matai Amas, when will I die? That the smoke should get out of his kever. Rabbi Yochanan was nifta. Pasik kuchim mikave. The smoke stopped the acher. Some hastes. What happened? Why did it stop? Because he got up there. Pasik alu savdana. The safdan. This bimaspid that we met in my cut. These professional eulogizes. I feel the shema Pesach. Even the shema of the Pesach of Gehenim. Like Omar Lefnecha Rabbeinu cannot go ahead and stop Rabbi Yochanan. He got him out. So guys, first of all, why did the Baskal say Shuvu banim shayvim chutz mivat me'elisha ben Avua? You see, not like that. You see, when Rabbi Meir went ahead and was telling Rabbi Meir chayza, he could have done tshuva. He said he could have done tshuva. The Haraya guys, he got into Olam Haba without doing tshuva. Guys, he got into Olam Haba without doing tshuva. So Vadi could have done tshuva. Vadi could have done tshuva. It would have been harder for him. We don't realize how easy Hashem makes us for tshuva. You know, you could be davening a Yom Kippur. Sometimes I can only speak for myself. Sometimes I'm sitting there and saying to myself, "What? I'm having such a lousy Yom Kippur. I can't focus. I'm having such a lousy Yom Kippur. I can't focus." You know, and then for some reason you get in the zone, and all of a sudden Yom Kippur's over, and you feel like, "Hey, that's so bad." Hashem helps you. What happens? Hashem is Messiah you. Like, Messiah you. Hashem was not going to be Messiah Acher. He wasn't going to Messiah him. However, his Talmud and the Talmud of his Talmud, right? Rabbi Yochanan, the great Rabbi, Yochanan, they were able to be poil because his Torah was such, right?
He didn't do it to tshuva, but he got a kapara in Gehenna.
Again, everyone, but again, without tshuva, it doesn't help. You have to do tshuva. You have to do tshuva. Again, just getting thrown in Gehenna is not going to do the job. Yeah, you need tshuva. You have to do tshuva.
Does it save you for Gehenna?
Not necessarily. You know, sometimes Gehenna is necessary. It's the Rambam in the beginning of tshuva, depending on your Averas. Sometimes everything, you need tshuva with anything. You need tshuva with anything. Really anything. So it's just fascinating. The Gemara, the ending is a nice ending. I mean, it's not Walt Disney ending, but it's not bad, you know. But we know about the biggest stress in the world is Walt Disney.
We don't have Rabbi to get us out of Gehenna.
Doc, just keep on doing what you're doing, and Hashem is going to send you mechap in this world.
We need one of you guys up there.
Unbelievable Gemara. I found this Gemara very uplifting. I found the end of the Gemara that, you know, like, not all is well that ends well, but the Koyach HaTorah. Said a very famous, you know, the Vilna Gaon was the biggest foe of the Hasidic movement. So I forgot which Rebbe said it. I'm not sure, Rabbi Yitzchak, the Baal Tanya, I don't know who it was. When the Gra died, he had this vision that they were going to go ahead because he would start the Hasidim, they're going to put him in Gehenna, the Vilna Gaon. And they try to get him, but all the Black Gemara, everything he learned surrounded him and protected him. Torah is, have a picture. Anyway. Okay, let's finish up. So, says, Bita Shalacher, the daughter of Acher, Asya Lakameh, the Rebbe, came in front of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Amalei, Rebbe, Parnaseni, take care of me. Rebbe, he was exceedingly wealthy, take care of me. So Amalei, Bas mi at. So who are you the daughter of? Amalei, Bita Shalacher. So Bita Ani. So Amalei, Adayin Yesh Mizaroi Ba'ilam. He still has kids in this world. Vaksiv, Laininloi, not a child of his. Laineched Ba'amoi, not a grandchild in his nation. Being Sorid B'Mekurav, nor will there be a survivor among his inhabitants. So Amaloi, she told Rebbe, Zachla Tairasai, Valtiska Maisa. Remember his Torah, don't remember his actions. Miyad Yod Eish, fire came down. The Sichsacha Sifsalish al Rebbe's chair was surrounded by fire. Bacha v'Amar Rebbe started crying. Umalim Miskanin ba kach. If this is the power of the one who are miskana, who are detriment, who are genai to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the mishtaptim, but those who praise Hashem, alachas kam v'kam. Again, like I just spoke out, right? It's unbelievable what Torah is. We can't. Rameya hechi gama Torah mipomei the acha freidim mar bikacha. Rameya is walking after acha. He's riding on a horse. It's Shabbos, and he's going to learn Torah from a machal Shabbos. What? Yeah, this is the lifish part of the share, right? Forget the Hasidic part. Forget the fire in the Torah. Let's get to the lifish part. And how could he learn from him? I told you. I love that joke. Come on, he was hysterical joke. V'Amar Rabba Barachana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Ma'idechsev Kisiv Sei Koyen Yishamru Das V'Torah Yivaksham Mipiu. Ki Malach Hashem Tzvakesu Im Daima Rav LeMalach Hashem. If the Rav is Daima to Malach Hashem Tzvakes Yivakshu Torah Mipiu, you should go ahead and look Yivakshu Torah from him. From Lav Al Yivakshu Torah Mipiu. There's a book written on Shimon's life. It's written by his just recently called Torah Yivakshu Mipiu. You take a look at a picture of Shimon. You see Mamishi and Malach Alakim. Says more. Amrei Shlakish Rameya Kra Ashkech. Rameya found the pasuk B'darish. He found the pasuk that gave him a waiver to be able to learn with Acher. Hat oznech, or hat oznecha, ushma divrei chachamim, the libcha tashis l'daiti. incline your ear, listen to the words of the Chachamim. However, your mind should follow me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. L'daitom lo nemer. It doesn't say to follow them. Elovat l'daiti, follow me. So in other words, take what you can from Acher, but still have in mind the Rebbeinu Shalom. Rav Chanina Amar Mehacha. Rav Chanina says from here, Shimi Bas Rei v'Hati Oznech v'Shichki Amech uBeis Avich. Learn. You should learn from what from them, but forget their deeds. Crush a cry, Dadi. It says first you need a Rebbe that's a Malach. Then it says you can learn from a Rasha. Like Hasha, Habagadol Cotton. If he's a Gadol, then he can learn from a Rasha. Why? Because he's able to discern the difference. And if he's a Cotton, he's small and he can't discern the difference, and you're worried about him being influenced by a Rasha, he can only learn from a Rebbe like Malach Shem Tzvapes. Kiyasar Abdimi Omar Amir Marav Yisrael and Meya. Rabbi would say Ochel Takla. He would eat the date to show the Shichla and he throw away the pit. Lebra. So again, from Acher, he ate the date to Torah and he threw away the pit. Dorish Rava, Maidich Siv, Elginas Egois Yerbatati. I went down to the garden of nuts, Lirois, the Ibe Anachel, to go see the green plants. Lama Nimshlu Tamidacham Egois, why Tamidacham commit to an Egois, Lemilcha, my Egois said, just like this Egois, Afal Pisham Luchluch Petit, even though it's full of schmutz, with soya and other stuff, Ein Masha Betoichi Nimas, whatever inside is protected. Aftam Chacham, Afal Pisha Sarach, even though what he goes off, Ein Torasa in the Messes, his Torah is not getting Messes, and therefore you can learn from them. Ashkei Rabba Bashilo Elio. He found Elio. Amalei, my Kovet HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the Kadosh Baruch Hu doing? Amalei, Kamish Maitza, Mayu, the Kula Rabban. He's saying over Torah in the name of the Chachamim. When we put him to Remeah Loi Kama, but he's not saying Torah in the name of Remeah. Amalei, Amai, why is not saying the name of Remeah? Mishum, the Kamish Maitza, Pumei Da'achad. It's because he learned from Acher. Amalei, Amai, Remeah, Amai, Remeah Remain Matzah B'Seichai. Remeah found a pomegranate. He ate the inside and Klipasi Zarek and threw away the outside. So Elio said, okay, Hashtu come and Meya. Now Kodesh Baruch saying, Meya b'ni, I'm a Meya, my son says. Kodesh Baruch changed gears. This man Adam Mitztayer, Shechina, obviously saying, this man Adam Mitztayer, Shechina, Ma Lashon Meres, when a person's in Tsar, what does Shechina say? Kalani Meiroshi, he burns my head, Kalani Mizroi, burns my arm. In Kacha Kodesh Baruch Mitztayer, Al Domen Shal V'shoyim, Kalvachayim Al Domen Shal Tzadikim, Shinishbach, Kalvachayim on the Tzadikim. Ashkei Shmuel Rabbi Yehuda, the Toli Be'ivd Dasha. Shmuel found Rabbi Yehuda that he was going ahead. He was crying by a bolt. The Kabach, he was crying Amalei Shinana, sharp one. That was that nickname that Shmuel gave to Rabbi Yehuda. My Kabach, why are you crying? Amalei Mizutra Ma'idechsibu Rabbanon. Is it light to you what it says regarding Chachamim? Aye Sefer, Aye Shakal, Aye Sefer Esam Migdalim. What does that mean? Aye Sefer Shu Sefer Kol Oisius Shebet Torah. Where's the Sefer who wrote all the Oisius of Torah? Aye Shakal Shay Sheklas Kalim Chamurin Shebet Torah. Where's the one who weighs the mitzvahs Kalis versus Chamuris? What the Kal V'Chaim is? Aye Sefer Esam Migdalim. The Tower Shayim Shreinim Gimel Meyas Alachas. The Migdal Perech Ba'aver. Sugya of Migdal Perech Ba'aver. A difficult Sugya. Where's the Tmidach Chacham who would dash in 3 inch Alachas and it's difficult Sugya? Rebbe, Ami, classmate, boy, doig v'achitoifel b'migdal perach ba'aber. Doig v'achitoifel were two adversaries of David. Doig was the advisor of Shaul. Achitoifel was the advisor of David. They both went off. They both died at half the lives. One lived to 33, one lived to 34. And they were both huge Talmidei Chachamim. They had 300 shilas about the migdal that was perach ba'aber. Tanan. The first mission in Perichelik says 3 kings and 4 regular people did not warrant the next world. Anan Matavi Alom. That's going to be with us. And the people who didn't warrant the next world were Achitoifel and the Migdal and Dayeg. Amalei Shinana. So he was crying. If these great Talmidei Chachamim didn't get in, how are we going to get in? So Amalei. So Shmuel said to Rabbi Yehuda, Shinana, Tina Hoisa Belibam. They were corrupt from the beginning. In other words, they were corrupt from the beginning, and Acher was corrupt from the beginning. So, so Acher Mai, what was the corruption of Acher? Because Zermi Yevani lePasmi, Zermi, the songs of Greeks did not go ahead and leave his mouth, and that's why. and that some of Acher, the Shoshal Yoimin Beis Hamedrash, Harbe Sifrei Minim Noishim Mechekom. When you get it from Beis Hamedrash, there were minim of apikurses that fell from his lap. Shal Nimas Hagardi Esremeya. Okay, we could stop over here. This okay. This okay. So this Rashi. Zema Yemani lePaskim Beisay. V'Hoyelo Niach B'Shvil Churbin Abayis. You should have left it. Chsiv B'Shir Lo Yishtayai. You should have left the meeting.
His father was